CTM. Hey, it's Casey coming at you with a special introduction to this episode on the podcast because this is actually a rebroadcast from my other show called the Hardcore Marketing Show. I would like to smash myths on that show, and I had the pleasure of interviewing this guest, Bill. You're gonna meet him, Bill Kenney. He's an absolute wizard. He's a sage when it comes to the event, the trade show. And one of the reasons we wanted to rebroadcast is Bill is actually going to be the lightning speaker at our next CTM event. And if you're listening to this and you're not part of our roundtable, if you're not part of our master group that gets together, it's free. It's just for B2B marketing leaders. Uh, Many of us are in SaaS, different industries though. All are welcome. We just come, we learn, we turn off the recording for everything except for when the lightning speaker is talking. So we will record that. But wanted to give a shout out and put this episode out there because no doubt after that lightning round, which can only be 12 minutes max, maybe a couple slides. I think we kept him to 3 slides this time. We were like, people are going to want to hear more. So we wanted to bring this episode over from the other podcast so you could hear it. Bill is a great guy. He records this live from his boat. I will tell you no more about that until you listen to the show, but he's on a boat. But he is an absolute great, he's a really good thinker about trade shows. And one of the things that really stood out to me about this particular episode and this speaker, which is why I wanted to bring him to the CTM community, is because we kept it real. And at one point in the podcast, Bill had actually prepared different images that you could actually see. So for those of you listening to this, there is a visual aspect on YouTube, or if you go to connecttomarket.com, you can see the visual behind this. But during the show, I actually describe verbally what I'm seeing. But Bill basically has different pictures of different companies and what they brought to a trade show, or what their booth looks like, what their setup looks like. And he was very merciful, and he blurred out or replaced the logo. So you don't actually know the company, but he picks it apart. He talks about the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's this kind of realism I have not heard in a long time. And so it was absolutely a pleasure to essentially travel the trade show floor with Bill in a virtual sense on this episode and have him really get me thinking about what is the point of that bullet there on that booth background. What are you trying to do here? And I know on the lightning round and the round table, he's going to also do a great job. So either way, if you want to get the 12-minute TED Talk, by all means, knock yourself out. But if you heard that already and you like to dig in more, that's what this episode is all about. I'm excited to bring you Bill Kenney. Welcome to Connect to Market. I'm Casey Cheshire. Join us as we learn from marketing leaders who are driving founder-led growth. We're sponsored by Ringmaster, building B2B podcasts and communities to reconnect you with your audience. All right, we are here, and this is going to be a special episode. If you didn't already know, all of these episodes are on YouTube, and you can actually see the video of my smiling face made for radio, but also our guest. And especially today, we're going to be sharing some screens. I will do my best to describe things, but you're going to want to hear it because we are going to give that uncandid, hardcore feedback, if you will. And I'm keeping it very mysterious. I'm keeping it mysterious. I'm just letting you know that there will be visuals and you might be able to see them. If you can't see them, don't worry. I'll describe them. But first and foremost, who is along this journey? Who is on the boat with me today and literally in the boat today? Well, he is back. He is back. He was on episode 222. Imagine that, right? He's back. He's been on the show before. Check out his episode if you want to get the background on him and his life and his story. But he is a marketing leader. He's a strategic connector, a speaker, a mentor. And you know what? He's got decades of experience working with companies that are trying to get into new markets, trying to go global, or the global ones trying to come to the US and they're figuring out that market entry. He's like a market entry wizard and a trade show genius, if you will. So who is he? What does he do? Founder and chief pot stirrer at Softland Partners, founder and client advocate of Meet. Bill Kenney, welcome back, sir.
Thank you so much, Casey. It's great to be here.
All right, man. Well, listen, we're talking trade shows today. We're talking booths. We're talking all sorts of things. So the first thing I got to do is pass you the helm. And we do this on the show, and because you were just on here. All right, here you go. Okay, go ahead. Grab Thor's hammer. You got it? Okay. You have it back now. Take Thor's hammer and smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Set the record straight once and for all.
Yeah. So for us, the number one myth is really that marketing is about talking about yourself. And so we tend to see these kind of massive headlines around how smart we are and, all these wonderful features that we built into this solution that we have. And it's crazy. And probably 99% of marketing, and we'll show some examples of marketing where companies are just so proud of what they've built. Unfortunately, that's not ultimately what draws the customer in.
Got it. Got it. So we've got some samples, sir. You want to do this? You want to do?
Let's do it.
You can be as nice to these companies as possible, and I will be as harsh and loving and caring and angry at them as possible. Okay, so we're sharing a screen.
Yep.
We see a trade show booth for those listening. Again, we're on YouTube. You go check it out. Wow. Okay, what's going on here, Bill?
So you can see we have a placeholder where the company name and logo was. So we're protecting the guilty, if you will.
Very kind of you.
Well, you are trying to do our best. So so the idea here, we've got this trade show booth that has an incredible amount of writing in it, and we'll see all sorts of different examples here. And so I think in order to assess this, we have to ask what the purpose of a trade show booth is for a growth company, right? We're not talking about IBM or Amazon, where people are attracted by the logo. And I'd even argue that prospects aren't generally attracted by logos. Prospects we define as having a need, having money or budget, and having urgency. So those are ultimately if we're aiming to find prospects, in other words, to separate the average attendee from those that fit the criteria of a prospect, then our messaging should be aimed at that. And I would suggest that for a growth company, generally no one is going to a trade show looking for your name. They're probably not even looking for your features. They're looking for the problem you solve or the problem that they have. And so what we tend to find is much better than this. And you think about people that are walking through a trade show, they're walking through at generally at high speed, absorbing lots and lots and lots of messages. And so there's literally probably, I don't know, maybe 600 words here in this.
Oh my gosh. Let me describe this. I think this will be good.
Yeah.
I'll give you the comedy description of each of these things so those listening can go, oh my gosh, and then you pick it apart. So basically they have the Magna Carta and font seems like 12 on this picture behind one side, and then they have the Bill of Rights on the other side. Literally, it looks like you're visiting the Smithsonian, and they've got some, we the people up on the wall. You can't read any of it, no formatting. There's a title, and it's in these panels. So we've got these like striped panels, like a golf course grass cut. The company name is mercifully left out, though I would have loved to see that, but you're the kinder soul. We have a picture of, I'm not sure why, the company, and then we have a whole panel, a whole Magna Carta about us, which makes me want to throw up in my mouth. And then we have our services on the right and some dumb pictures. Bill, take it away.
Excellent. So if we think of, let's just use a metaphor here. So if you think of this as going fishing, right? So when we go fishing, the best thing we do before we leave our house is we decide what do we want to catch, and that informs where we're going to go fishing and what bait we're going to put in the water. So in order to start this process, we have to decide what we want to catch, and then think of this booth as the bait, right? If we're going to an event with whether it's 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people, we want to find the fraction of a percent that are prospects that have a need, money, and are urgent. And so think of this as our demonstration in our booth, or what we're projecting in our booth is really that bait that gets the salmon to
I like
go
that.
to opt in versus the flounder, right? So we got to have the
I
right,
like salmon. I'll take that.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we got to have the right bait. And so what does the
Right.
salmon want? The salmon wants, a specific food. And so we need to put it out there for them, and that's usually going to be a headline that is easy to read as they're running past. And remember, half the people that go to trade shows are introverts. So they're not looking up very often from their shoes. So we want a headline that is really clear and easy for them to understand and opt into. And so we often find the better headlines are those that are questions, right? So, things like struggling with, or, struggling with dot, 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 question mark, or tired of dot, 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 question mark. So tired of, paying too much for X, or struggling with uh, your IT security. It could be any type of headline like that. Again, thinking about your buyer persona, and ultimately the question to ask once you know who you're selling to, and that fish you're trying to catch, is what's keeping them awake at night. That should really be what forms your question. And then what's below that supports the question you ask. So the best we've found is an image. So one provocative large image that supports that question. It could be something that is showing the problem, or it could be
Mm.
something that's showing the solution. Either way can work. And ultimately, the best way to do this and evolve this is to A/B test different ideas. We'll actually do trade shows where in the morning we'll have one display, and in the afternoon have a second display, which is great because
Oh,
then with the same audience, we could get incredibly good feedback. Just the same thing as a fisherman that goes, if you know fly fishing, you know that people that go fly fishing they might try up to 10 different baits in a given day in a given, river or lake or whatnot. And so it's really honing your bait here that's important. But again, simple imagery, a simple statement. You might, if you really feel compelled to have some additional writing, you might write your, no more than 3 word, uh, and no more than 3 bullets, your value proposition. And again, your value proposition isn't from your perspective, it's from your customer's perspective. So it's about benefit. What do I get, when this problem is solved? I've saved money, I'm going to be more efficient, more highly profitable, whatever the case is, but it should be really from their perspective. So again, simple. And the idea of this display is simply to get prospects to stop. That's all you want. And then what you do next gets them engaged and converts them. And conversion in a B2B sense, and that's where we're focused, is simply to agree to a meeting. That's it. That's all you want. And then none of this, you don't need this again. Once you've qualified the prospect, you move on to the next.
ah, yes, sir. Yeah, I've a couple things. This is great. Really, and I'm already mentally saying this is a masterclass in events to really dive deep on this. And to be fair, the person who created this, then maybe they just don't know, right? They
Yeah.
need to hear this episode. That's probably the only mercy I'm going to give them. And then the idea of booth as bait.
Mhm.
Honestly, I hadn't thought of that either. I thought of it supporting whatever you're doing or whatnot, but the idea, very simple idea that you've shared of the goal is to make them stop. And I'm mentally picturing myself walking around Dreamforce or like a Cloud Force like mini event, and there's just all these booths and they're all sparkly and there's all these people and giveaways, and I just need to stop for a second to read the bullets or to decide what I want to. Yeah, just stop first, right? Not overcomplicate it. Just stop. I mean, it's so powerful to, if that's the goal, then yeah, you blow up this whole booth here, and you could put a single letter on each panel and just confuse people, and that might make them stop, as
Well,
opposed to
but
all these things.
that's different. Getting people to stop is different than getting prospects to stop. It's really
Ooh,
easy to get
tell me
people
more.
to stop, right? You have,
Ah,
right. Think of the old days, right? We'd have this attractive woman in the booth, and maybe even scantily clad if you went to specific tech shows. Um,
Goodness gracious.
but what does that do, right? Who stops? Are those prospects? Very
Everyone stops.
very
Yeah.
unlikely that they're
Right.
prospects. So this
Right.
is not about getting people to stop. This is about getting a specific class of people who have a specific problem they're looking to solve. This is about having a much richer pipeline than you'll have in any other technique.
Okay. I thank you for clarifying that, right?
Mhm.
This is good. I mean, this show is all about me saying dumb things on the path to saying the right thing. And then, yeah, for you to, that's beautiful. It's not everyone stopping because I can picture myself walking around. It's almost the end of the day. And, I've got 2 kids. And especially when they were younger, it's like, where are the stuffed animals at,
Mhm.
right? Yes, you can scan my badge. I want your unicorn for my daughter because that'll make her smile. And I'm literally unsubscribing on Monday, right? So you don't want me to stop. And
No.
and I knew this was happening as I was doing it. I'm like, yes, I'm doing the trade, bartering. Here's my email. Thank you for your stuffed animal mug or whatever. And then cool. I know I'm unsubscribing and I'm giving my kid you don't want me to stop. That was too good of a giveaway for not the right person,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know?
think of the
Maybe we'll get
tradition.
giveaways, but like I hear you. It's not everyone stopping. It's like you particular ideal buyer person we're trying to talk to you. I want you to pause for a second.
Well, and it's funny because if we're doing, I mean, this is inbound marketing, and this is, very simply what's done
Literally it is.
online, right? But we're
Yeah.
doing it in person. And the thing you don't see online when with inbound marketing, and you don't see when you have your hook in the water, is the fish that swim by, right? And so I think the thing that's physically hard about this for people, but the measure of success is actually when people don't stop. That's the measure of success in a booth like this. Is you want to really create a situation where only your prospects opt in. And when you get it right, here's the experience I have when you get the messaging right, is people walk about halfway or 2/3 of the way by your booth. They stop for a moment, they ingest it, and then they walk in. And it's a totally different reaction than you
100%.
get with, if you had giving away an iPad or something like that, right? Oh, I'll take an iPad, or you're giving away free coffee, or, I mean, there's zero level of qualification that's
Right.
put in place for those types of giveaways.
It's funny you describe it's almost like you're the trade show whisperer as well. I'm gonna keep giving you titles until you're full of them.
Yes,
I expect all of these, by the way, to get on to LinkedIn headlines
they
soon
will
after
soon. Yeah.
podcast. Uh, I've literally, as you're describing it, done that where I've walked by, I'm looking at the thing, and you mentioned this earlier, the idea that half the people walking by are introverts. I'm not even an introvert, and I'm still doing the same. Like, do I want to even
Hmm.
engage? Like, and oh God, I'm looking at the bullets. Are they looking at me? I
Right.
don't want. I'm gonna walk by a little bit more, so you stop looking at me, and then read your bullets. And then if they're a fit, I'm gonna come back. You know what's funny? I remember seeing bullets. I mean, it's like a mini great example at some of these trade shows with Salesforce because they'll give you a logo
Hmm.
sign and 4 bullets if you want them. And I remember seeing bullets where I don't even understand what they mean. And I would say that's pretty good. But then sometimes I want to learn more to find out if it does fit me or not. It'd be a little bit better if it was clear that I was not a good fit because then I can be the fish swimming by. By the way, I love that metaphor because you're right. We don't get to see that on landing pages.
Right. Do you want to look at a couple more?
Yeah, please. This is great.
Hey, marketing leaders, it's Amanda here from Ringmaster B2B Podcasting. In today's market, B2B buying is built on one thing trust. And there's no better way to build that trust than through a podcast that builds connection. At Ringmaster, we help you launch and grow shows that will amplify your brand and can help drive real demand. The best part? We handle all the heavy lifting so you can focus on the big picture. So if you've been thinking about starting a podcast for your brand or taking your existing one to the next level, visit ringmaster.com to chat and book a call.
So,
Can't wait to thrash another one.
and we'll go through a couple here, but and just to give you a sense of how pervasive this problem is. So
Yeah.
this particular group of pictures, there were 500 exhibitors at this particular event.
Damn.
And I walked by every single booth. I surveyed every single one. Only 5 of the 500 exhibitors would I say had a good display?
5 of 500.
Correct. 1%.
Damn.
So, and I don't think that's that unusual. And there are lots of different things that I think people are doing wrong. So, and so here's our next booth. You've got, you can see where the company
Different.
name,
All
the
right.
logo
Company
was
description.
at the top.
Company description.
Yeah, if you want to describe it.
Okay. Our next booth is called Finding Nemo. We have two giant panels. On the left, we have the ocean with a horizon. Less words this time, and we have these icons going down to the left. They look like little fish, like Nemo and all of his friends. They're little icons, and then we've got these 3 space chairs and the table and 2 space chairs in the middle. And on the right, we have a giant logo wall. Now it does say HR and payroll technology solutions, and then it says all of our partners, some of our clients, and then it's like a very sparse as compared to the last one. Bill, take it away.
Yeah. So again, this is about the seller, right? It's saying what they do and who their partners are. In fact, it gives the features of their services. There are no benefits here even. These are, we consult, we implement, we integrate. It doesn't. There's no benefit to the customer.
Mean, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
That could be any industry anywhere.
Yeah, and so great. Your HR and payroll technology solutions, but there's really no understanding of the problem you solve, and there's no differentiation from anyone. So again, I think, looking at this very simply, would prospects stop in here? I think you're going to get a general or an average attendee will stop. It won't be somebody who is, because you want people who are urgent to solve a problem, people who have a, really a dramatic HR payroll problem going on, right? Their payroll providers messing up, or their employee information is being, somehow hacked, or who knows what, but they have a fire burning. And those are the people you want to attract. And that's not going to be obvious to the attendee as to why should I stop here?
This is a great example. Both panels say HR and payroll technology solutions. And you're right. Like the idea of consult, implement, integrate, it's some buzzwords, but why would I stop in here? I mean, thinking of my own company, we have payroll, and okay, but what problem does this solve? Yeah, okay, you integrate with Sage and with Workable and Flare. Cool. So what? I don't care. Why? Is there a problem I already know about that you want to call out, or is there a problem that I don't know about? I totally get your point. This, instead of saying Finding Nemo, I'm going to say this is Finding Nemo, because this is all about me on this slide and nothing to do with, oh man, this is like a where's the beef booth, because I don't know what the hell you do.
Yeah, and it's graphically reasonable. It's not overwhelming, and very different from the one we just looked at, but still very much missing the mark. It's not going to attract prospects, and in the end, that's our very simple measure.
100%, I would put money down. The only thing that brings you into this booth is they've got some, I don't see them on the stand-up table, but some kind of tchotchkes. They've got the blue and green unicorn that I'm going to get for my daughter. They're probably using that gift as a crutch or something, because otherwise there's no reason on the planet to stop by this booth.
Yeah, I mean, they might have people in the hallway pulling you in, which is even worse, right? Because that's not qualifying.
No,
that's terrible.
You have a pulse? Come on in here.
Exactly.
And I go, do I want to hang out in an HR payroll technology solution? Not really.
That is
not really.
That is the call. Well, should we look at another one?
Yeah,
all right,
please.
Let's do it. All right. So this one.
Oh, actually, can you go back?
Oh yeah, sure.
Just real quick, what would you add to the Finding Nemo booth? What?
This is simple. Yeah, no, I think, again, I'd go with very simply a headline, right? So something, in this case, struggling, and obviously you want to find out, thinking of the buyer persona, what's their worst problem? And it might be, payroll delivery, struggling with payroll delivery, struggling with on-time payroll, struggling with, high costs of payroll. It could be any of those types of things, but ultimately, having that strong headline, very simple, less than, 3 words is great. like the perfect headline of all time was like "Got Milk," right? That was like so
Yeah.
so wonderful. So think of that, right? You just simply want people to respond to that, you know, headline that is very specific to your customer. And then from there, it's just a simple, again, a really interesting image that brings them in, but probably doesn't take away from the headline. You want the headline always to be very prominent. And then if you need to have some bullets, then again, no more than 3 words and 3 bullets that are your value proposition, top things that support the headline. But
Yeah.
but again, no features, only benefits. That's the
No,
real
no
key.
features, only benefits. You know what? And for love of all that is good, get rid of these bullets that say nothing. Consult, implement, integrate. Like if it says, you know what? When I did my book, they I had too many words, and they said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, you're over by 10,000 words. You could keep them, but it's going to be 5 cents a word. You know, or something like something stupid. So I would look at a paragraph or even a part of a chapter, and it's like, oh, the history of advanced dynamic content. Yeah, that's it. Do I want to pay, $800 to teach everyone the history of? No, it's gone. So almost like if people could like have a but like this consult, implement, integrate just angers me. I understand the logos on one side, but
If
gosh,
you
what
told
a mess.
if you told me I could only use the ingredients that were on this, I would eliminate everything except for HR and payroll technology solutions.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
again,
fair.
that at least makes the room smaller. Because that's what you're trying to do. Is just how do we make the room smaller? But I wouldn't, that wouldn't be ideal still, but it would be
Yeah, solutions to what?
right.
To your point.
Yeah. But
And you know what? I was trying to make up a headline that would be great for that booth, but I can't because I'm not the buyer.
mm,
And I think to your point, you gotta go talk to them and find out what is the nagging thing
and
that's driving you absolutely bonkers. Put that on the
talk
you
to
know,
them and then test it. And actually, trade shows are
yeah,
a wonderful testing ground, right? Because when people
yes.
opt in, you can ask them why, right? Why did you stop? And they go, "Gosh, this headline, and okay, so tell me about that. What is it? What is it that whether it's what's challenging you with your the delivery of payroll or whatever." And then when people don't opt in, you meet somebody, an executive that you think might be a prospect, is you ask, what are you struggling with? What are the big things that are you're really looking to solve? And you can understand more of what communication is important and what communication is really compelling to people.
100%. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's thrash somebody
All
else.
right, here we go. So do you want to describe this and then we can hop in?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Welcome to Legoland. We have this. Actually, you know what? This is a solitary confinement cell. I feel like you're in a zoo. You're on display. It is like a carve out. There's a desk with blue. The logos. It says "Delivery made for you." So this is blue desk. There's a blue wall. Perfect partner on the wall. Perfect partner on this other side to grow your business. Logo, location. A bunch of really uncomfortable looking blue high chairs and a couple high tables to sit down at. And and two graphics, basically the same people. There's a lady in a yellow vest, and there's a lady in overalls holding a package. Still no idea what they do, but it's delivery made for you. Bill, take it away.
Yeah. So this is an amazing. I mean, actually, it's a graphically nice looking booth and all that. Yeah, and I think like the other booths, they have printing below desk height, which is a huge no-no.
Oh, I see that. You're right.
Right.
To grow your
Yeah. I mean,
perfect partner to grow your brr. Yeah, no
yeah,
idea.
everything gets cut off. But yeah,
Gross.
the challenge is they use very nondescript headlines, right? So the perfect partner, what business wouldn't say no, we're not the perfect partner. So yeah, I mean, they're a logistics business. That's not really clear. This is, I think, again, we'll kind of keep hitting the same theme, and it maybe good to jump next to a booth that is good, and that way we
Well,
can get a
okay, but real
comparison.
quick,
Yeah,
the perfect partner is it's like written in wingdings for those listening and from the
it's
90s. Like the font is crazy. So it's like someone got creative with how to have a different letter in a different font. Every letter in perfect partner is like a different thing. It's like they spent 80% of their time designing the perfect partner, and 0% time describing how they are.
Yeah, yeah. And the image is probably not ideal. I mean, because it's it's really hard to know what transactions going on there. So,
Yeah, no idea.
yeah, yeah. But
Are they like an Amazon part? I don't have no idea what they.
it's hard, really hard. It's really unclear. And if you were, you'd have an Amazon logo probably somewhere,
You would.
somewhere there. But
Oh,
yeah,
hey, they have some fine print at the bottom too, way below desk level.
delivery made, yeah, something or
No,
other.
like in the back, down under logo location. Do you see that? Or maybe it's covered up by a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. Oh, even smaller print. Yeah, I see. I can't read it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's seeing that.
No, no.
Dang.
Well,
Okay.
and you think about it, you really don't want anything below desk or table level because
True.
no one sees it or it's broken up. So yeah, it doesn't work well.
Well, would this get the right person to stop? I guess
No,
you
not
back to your checklist. The right person doesn't know it's them.
right,
Hey, anyone with a business, we're gonna be your perfect partner. Really?
right. And I have a business that doesn't ship anything, so yeah,
What do you feel about the clip art? I'm not the buyer, so I can only partially judge. But it's the back of a delivery person and the front of a happy recipient. I guess is your customer. I don't know.
that's what we're thinking. Yeah, yeah, but it's unclear for sure. Let's go to one
On
that
that note, is it dangerous? It seems like it'd be dangerous to use clip art here or some kind of graphic that doesn't. I don't know. It just seems like it's a risk to add humans doing something stupid on a picture.
That's probably true. Yeah, no, it's a really good point. I don't, yeah, I think you want to, again, I think you want to have something that supports your headline that,
Yeah.
keep it really simple.
And to be fair, to your point, the blue was nice,
Yeah.
right? So the blue was nice. It wasn't like the Magna Carta, but that was it. And the blue being nice, that's how marketing stays, and we make things pretty.
I got to
right?
highlight this one. And do you want to describe it? And we'll just spend a second here.
Welcome to Crash Bandicoot. Kind of like you're about to have a seizure looking at this booth. There's a giant yellow wall on one side, and on the right side is blue with all sorts of fun. I actually kind of like the design of this. On the yellow side, there's a big giant stop sign with a pole, so it looks like a stop sign. And it says, "Only stupid business owners would walk past this stand." Shots fired. And then on the other side, it says, "Business growth in a bag," and it has the company logo. Oh, see, I kind of want the bag, and I don't want to be stupid. Bill, take it away.
Yeah, I'm not sure we want to start by calling our prospects stupid. I think
Fair.
probably have,
It didn't work too well for Snow White and Bud Light. Anyways.
exactly. So, but again, I don't want to be redundant to what we've already said, but I think I would stay away from using. I love the stop sign, and again, I think you're absolutely right. The graphics are unique and compelling, but the idea of calling somebody stupid is probably not great. So
I do like the idea of the bag full of.
yes,
help me grow, but it's
but
probably
you're not my
super
prospect. So
True.
yeah, I should think that having these things the bait that isn't really
Wrong bait
solid.
for the
Yeah,
wrong fish, right? To your point.
yeah. So
Now, if they had said this bag is great for SaaS founders of companies such and such size in these industries, it's money. For everyone else, it's poison.
it's something like that. Yes.
Maybe.
All right. So
Yeah.
here's an example, and I would say it's still got ways to go in terms of being perfect. But here's an example of what I would say is a good display. And
New booth for everyone.
Yeah.
New booth, pink and purple. And they've got definitely on one side says IT is dead. On the other side, overwhelmed by M365. And we all know what the hell that is. And yes is the answer to that. Bill, tell us about this booth.
yeah.
I love it already.
So the thing that to me that really excites me about this and made it one of the 5 of 500 that I would say is good, again, not great, but good, is that number one, it's simple, it's easy to see and read, but more than that, and I would have just used the banner on the right and just made that 10 feet wide instead of 5 feet. But overwhelmed by M365, absolutely wonderful, great headline, set them totally apart. So and then their bullets below. We relieve your pain. We don't just provide software solutions. We help solve your business problems. Again, those were kind of generic, but they won my heart by starting with a question that only their customer would would be challenged by.
Right.
And
And if you don't have 365, you're walking on, and that's
please, yeah, if you're
okay.
using Google Cloud,
Yeah.
we can't help you. Yeah.
For the record, I'm on Google and it's so much nicer, but I would see this, I would go, "Ah, yeah, totally." And I'd keep going, but I wouldn't waste your booth time or take your thing.
Yeah, we're a Google house too, but I stopped. I wanted to
Well, in
talk
this
to
case,
him.
yeah, take a photo, you'd
I,
have
I
to.
loved it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but that's really it. It can be this simple.
Yeah.
And they could have gotten rid of the three bullets, and then just put their logo a little higher. And probably I would have made the headline all the way at the top and make it even bigger font than that. Almost like the
Totally.
IT is dead side. That size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, on one side, the IT is dead. You know what? For being super critical on this, that sounds like a little bit like marketing fluff. Like, okay, IT is dead, and it says "long live something," but I can't see it because it's cut off by a chair and a table. To your point about having headlines, having writing
Hmm.
below a certain point, I don't know what they're saying. I'd never be able to see that, and probably heads would be in the way for this anyways.
Right.
So to your point, yeah, that overwhelmed by 365 needs to be in large font because that is such a great hook as opposed to all these other things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd just
Mhm.
get rid of the left side, not even have it, and just
Can I just point out
yeah,
real quick too?
yeah.
These are just two for those listening. These are just two pop-up banners, right? They're like those little pull-up ones. It looks like, or maybe they're just a rolled up panel.
It's a
In
pullover.
fact,
Actually, these are two-sided. Um, yeah,
two-sided.
so think of it like a sock that you're pulling over a foot. So the frame is the foot, and then you pull this two-sided
Oh,
sock
over
over.
top of it.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
they're really cool. They're becoming much more popular.
And I totally get that because easier to swap them in and out. You're not investing into these like permanent trade show panels and whatnot. But you know what? It may be a simpler technology than all those other people with the printed booths, but they had the question and it made it automatically better than all the other guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've now gone, and all our clients have gone to backlit displays
Oh,
similar to this, but backlit. So I mean, it
oh,
really looks impressive when
okay.
you see them.
Let's
But
go.
yeah, well, it's just you're spending so much money to go to a trade show to spend another $500 and get something that's backlit. It really makes a big difference.
And am I right? You should spend 80% of the time figuring out what that question is.
Oh,
Like,
abs
if you have the right question,
yeah,
everything else, their bullet points are stupid, but you know what? Okay, I'm already in. And
right.
then I'm talking to someone probably just to see if maybe they can help me with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're right. Spending 80% of your time on the question, and so it's a whiteboard, right? You're just throwing down ideas. There's no
Yeah.
bad idea, and then take your top three or four and test them. Just
Test them.
yeah, don't
Yeah.
the intelligence in marketing isn't having the answer; it's having the question, right? So it's about going out and having the wisdom to test, your assumptions.
And I love that they were able to get around saying like, "Oh, we can't say Microsoft." They just said
Yeah,
M365, and that's and even a non-user, I knew exactly what they're talking about,
yeah.
right? So good branding of Microsoft, but also, it's great to just call out what your customer would call it.
You're not using Microsoft, you'd walk by. So yeah, you have no, the non-Microsoft people probably wouldn't get it quite as much as the Microsoft customer. So yeah, no, it's just perfect. So yeah, no,
Love it.
I wanted to make sure we showed an example of what good looks like, so that it was clear. But again,
So that
still with
people know we're
this,
not
you
just
can make it
hating.
better.
Yeah. I love that.
So those are some examples I figured might be nice to share
You know
those.
what? I could look at these all day. Are we just both nerds like that? Yeah. There it is. Man, I mean, I can't tell you how much fun that was to look at those examples, but and now, I've gone to restaurants with friends who have started restaurants, and it's slightly annoying, but also really fascinating when they say, "Oh yeah, this restaurant's not gonna work. They don't have enough seats. They don't have enough tables. They're not gonna really turn a profit, blah, blah." Like, they just kinda can walk in there and go, "This is what I see," and it's just fascinating to learn about the world behind it. I felt the same thing happening with trade shows where you were calling this thing out, and I had been sort of at a surface NPC level, just sort of walking the thing and reacting how I normally would react. But I think now you've broken myself and everyone listening to this because now we can't just walk in there anymore. We're gonna see, did they ask a question? And we'll probably stop at booths that do it right just because they did it right. And then everyone else, we're just gonna, come on, guys, do better.
you'll see how few, and then you go to the large, and there were plenty of large companies at this as well. And there are certainly tons of examples of where they could do better. But the large companies are, their logo is on top, and they have some innocuous, tagline below that, again, anyone could say, we care about X, whatever.
IT is dead.
Who
We care
who
about you.
cares?
Like blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
right.
Yeah.
And so, or we're the energy company or whatever. Okay, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But I think you first have to really be clear on what you're trying to accomplish. And it's funny, every once in a while I'll hear a growth company say, well, branding's important to us. And I guess my retort to that is, you know, branding's expensive. I would think if you're a growth company, customer should be your number one priority. Is, how do
Yes.
we get more? And it's not even just more prospects, it's high qualified prospects, right? It's prospects that, are gonna be faster in the sales cycle than, the kind of the average suspect. And,
Totally.
yeah.
And I think we could even just state it here. I mean, I would, if we were doing a wager, 100%, I would bet money on a booth that had no branding whatsoever, but had that question nailed.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
does struggling to get an email, to deliver results or something like that, versus some booth that was like, hey, look at us, we're MailChimp. Okay, I know MailChimp, I don't really care.
Right.
Versus someone, oh, this booth, no brand whatsoever. I 100% would put my, I'd invest there because
Yeah.
you want to, oh man, to go after the people
Yeah,
like that.
no,
and to-
you're absolutely right. You could have zero logo, zero brand identification, but nail the
Yeah.
question and get much better results.
Yeah.
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 You'll even have your competition signing up or being like, who the hell are these guys? Like, what? They're doing great. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, couple questions for you.
Yes, sir.
What's your take on giveaways? We've talked a little bit about them. What's the right way to approach that?
Yeah. Don't have anything.
Don't have any of
No.
them. Whoa, shots fired, people. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Can you just
and
rant
I
for-
say that. I think so everything you have in your booth distracts from the message you're trying to create. So let's just, if you want prospects to stop, you need to make it really easy. Think of a billboard, right? A billboard, the most effective billboards have the least amount of writing. And the most effective actually probably just has a really good picture and probably 2 or 3 words. Again, got milk. And so when you put additional stuff in, and we have clients ask us all the time, can we do a demo? Can we have, can we show our no, that would be the same thing as a doctor when you walk into their office saying, oh, you have cancer, or, oh, you have appendicitis. Well, you haven't done any assessment. You haven't done any tests. You haven't asked me any questions. How the heck do you know what I have? And so, no, I think, again, everything you put in between the customer and them understanding why they should stop. This is just an initial speed bump. The less people who are going to be qualified will stop. So if you put any giveaway, and it's really hard to create, if you were going to have a giveaway, it should be one that only attracts your prospects. So I challenge you to find that giveaway. You could have a giveaway that you have below the table that once you've had a good conversation, you give to somebody. But I'm going to go a whole nother route with that because that's too long of a conversation in a booth. So again, in B2B, so if we have salespeople in a booth, which is the traditional thing that people do, a sales conversation at minimum is 15 minutes, right? So again, think if you're at an event with 10,000 people, which is a mid-sized event, then a salesperson, one person can only have at most 32 conversations in a day. If we're say that a good conversation is at least 15 minutes, that's not enough. We want to find the prospects in the room. So if we have that provocative headline, you want a transaction that happens. You want a 1 to 2 minute transaction so that I can talk to 300 people in a day and, at 10 times, 20 times more than what a salesperson would talk to. And so that's really the idea, is that you want to have a really good headline. And just like you would online, you want them to opt into something, right? An assessment, an evaluation, a white paper, sign up for the webinar that's happening next week on this topic, right? Concerned about, new, whatever the new regulation is, or, something that again has content behind it that allows you to begin nurturing that prospect.
You know what? I gotta tell you, man, the kind of combos that blow my mind happen every so often on this podcast, and this is one of them. The idea of not wanting, and I've done this wrong so many times. So everyone listening, you're probably with me too. I have been in a booth and I've been good at getting everyone to chat with me and having longer conversations. Yeah, almost like the win is a longer conversation, but it's not. To your point, it's a limiting factor. So I really want to have a 1 to 2 minute conversation, and then everything else can get pushed to getting that call scheduled or something like
You
that, or
want
that
it
next.
well. So you grew up in New Hampshire, so
Yeah,
you know about lobster traps, right? So
yeah,
I grew up on the coast of Massachusetts. I had lobster traps as a kid. Lobster traps are multi-staged traps that bring lobsters in. They take lobsters on a journey, essentially, to get to the various stages within the trap. And I'm not saying we're trying to trap prospects or customers. That's not my goal. But the real point is that the process of bringing somebody, whether you're identifying prospects online or in person, you're taking them on a journey, and you really need to think about what that journey is. But it's sort of, think of it almost like if you're looking for a job, you have a resume. The resume only has benefit before you schedule an interview. It has no benefit. Once the interview is scheduled, you can throw it away. It has no significance. And I would say the same thing is true of the booth. The booth's job is to identify prospects. Once you've identified the prospect, then they should continue to the next stage of the journey. And the idea, though, of doing a demo in a booth is the most asinine thing we see people do, because you're making so many assumptions, and you're selling features. Look at how smart we are. How smart you are is how well you understand the customer problem and what it's costing them. And any B2B sale has multiple buying influences. So if you haven't talked to those influences and understand the problem from their perspective, your sale is, if you get one, is superficial. People think you make sales in booths. You don't. The sale happens, weeks and or months after that, because you've heard them, not they've heard you.
man. I'm often trying to make the sale in the booth. I'm often trying to see how far down the pathway we can get them in the booth. And I remember some more tactical trade shows where I had to try to get people to sign up. This was when it for like a more of a B2C thing, but I was trying to get people to sign up, and I could only work with so many, depending on how many clipboards I had, right? And I had in Maine, by the way, I cleaned up in Maine. I had 2 clipboards going at the same time, but that was still 2 clipboards, and and people would be walking by that maybe I could have worked with, but I only had limited space. Instead, we should be trying to collect them, identify them. They're the right prospect, they're the right target, and then get them down the process. Love that.
And B2C is going to be different. I mean, my comments are very much geared towards B2B, where you're dealing with a client with this, it's more strategic and more, you really need to get into and understand, their problem, and it's usually, where the solution has some customization to it, and where, you can really, it needs to be tailored to the client.
But to that point, we're probably trying to treat our B2B trade shows like B2C trade shows, like we're going to get them to buy the tuxedos on the spot, sign up, register, come to the store. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to purchase this thing. Let's stop deluding ourselves. They're not going to buy the $100,000 software right now in the booth, right? Put the DocuSign
No.
away. this is a longer conversation, and to skip forward too quickly anyways is going to dishonor the process and probably freak the person out, and that's not how it's done, right? So we're not trying to get, married when we just met them on this blind date. It's just like a 2 minute, whatever the blind date round robin stuff is, right? Let's just make an impression, get their number, talk to them later.
You will impress them most by having a strong process that uncovers their deepest needs. I mean, ultimately, that's going to be the magic in the process. But the idea of sort of making an assumption that everybody has the same sort of struggle, really belies what you're trying to do.
Not it, man. Wow. Dude, so powerful. I'm convinced. I don't know how anyone hearing this isn't like, I got to call Bill for my next trade show. And you've been so generous sharing all these critiques and these pictures and images. How do people contact you? Where do you want them to go to connect with you? Maybe they need to get some help with their next trade show, which I recommend. I'm going to call you up when we take a stab at it. And you'll tell me, hey, Casey, that looks like one of those initial ones that I showed you.
Sure.
I'm like, Bill, help me.
Yeah, absolutely. So and just to mention too, we've actually just recently released a trade show booth assessment. So anyone that has questions on that, we'll take a look at, just send us pictures of your recent exhibit or an exhibit you're going to go do, and we'll come back with a score and give you recommendations. But
and that sounds kinder than sending them to me, because I'll just tell them, right.
We're hardcore in our own way, but lovingly critical is I think the best.
Totally.
So the easiest way to get me is Bill at meetroi.com.
Dang.
Yeah.
Bill, seriously, I'm not marketing, throwing words out lightly when I say this is like a trade show masterclass.
No.
My mind is blown on this thing. How have I known you this long and not like, this is important. I feel like you need to meet people, say, hi, my name is Bill. Let me tell you about trade shows, because this was fantastic.
Thank you.
I think next time I'm at a trade show and I see a terrible booth, I'm going to say, hey, have you listened to a Hardcore Marketing Show, blah, 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 number, episode, whatever? You need it. Go listen. Because this is fantastic. I will never look at trade shows the same way again, and I will never execute them in the same way again. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Casey. I appreciate it. I tell you, the work that you do is spectacular, and the good information you're getting out to the market is so valuable.
100%. And with that, those listening, if you learned something, and I freaking know you did, because I did. Damn, did I learn something. I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back. And man, there are some great idea of the A/B testing. The fact that trade shows literally are inbound marketing, but you get to see the fish you catch versus the fish you don't, and you can adjust. And oh my gosh, so many lessons here. Share this episode with 1 person, 2 people, 9,000 people, whatever it is. Maybe you've got a friend with a terrible booth. Friends don't let friends have terrible booths at trade shows. So get this episode to them. Tag myself and Bill on LinkedIn, and we will come in there and have some good times in the comment section. Otherwise, with that, Bill, thank you again, sir.
Thank you so much, Casey. It's great to see you today. And keep marketing strong.
Hell yeah, man. All right, everyone. This has been a crazy cool episode of the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will see you all next time. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at connect2market.com. Connect to Market is sponsored by Ringmaster, creating podcasts and communities that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth.